Hey girlies, before we dive in, just a quick heads up. The advice, stories and opinions shared on Girlboss Bible are based on my personal experiences. This podcast is for inspiration and motivation, and I am by no means giving professional advice. So always do what's right for you in your situation. This podcast may contain strong language, some mild adult themes, and a 30-year-old attempting to still be cool. So be warned.
Hi, welcome back to Girlboss Bible. My name's Katy, I'm your host, and this is our first full episode. What I want to talk about today is my experience and how I've got to where I've got to. Like I said, I'm 30 years old. I'm a finance manager and I work for a company here in Australia in Melbourne, but I'm originally from Manchester. I want to talk a little bit about how I got here and my inspiration around everything. So growing up, as I said in my first pod, I wasn't coming from a family that's like super educational. And I guess for me, I had to experience everything for the first time as a family, which is pretty difficult. And it's the main catalyst behind making this podcast. But yeah, I just want to give you an overview of what I did, how I did it, and why I got there. So when I was younger, I actually grew up in Spain, in the hills. So I'm very blessed to speak fluent Spanish. Hablo español, para todos los españoles que están ahí. Aunque que están escuchando. Sorry, that's a showing off. But yeah, I guess, so I grew up in Spain till I was 13 years old. We moved back to the UK. And when I was in Spain, like I was pretty popular in school. I had loads of mates. I was clever and I was good, but I weren't the best behaved. Like I chat loads in class and I was quite popular. And then when I moved back, we actually moved to Nottingham first. During my time there, I didn't really have the best experience in school. Like I used to even eat my lunch in the toilet for a bit and stuff. Embarrassing. Which, can I just say, I copied that off Mean Girls, and I think they should never have shown that because they actually gave me that idea. Anyway, bye. So I didn't really like it there. Then my mum was like, right, we're going to move back to Manchester. So after 6 months in Nottingham, which failed, we moved back to Manchester. Joined my school there, fit straight in, found all my primary school friends, and it was fine. But I was quite reserved then and quiet, which actually worked really well in my favour. And we will delve into that in some future episodes. So made a little group of mates who were, one of them being Katrina, who I'm going to interview. She's coming in a few episodes' time. And they all really carried me and inspired me. They were really clever. They knew how to study and were just really supportive. And one thing that happened before I moved back to Manchester was when I lived in Nottingham, we did like this school trip. And I can't remember why or what we did, but it was at some like mad convention. And we went to see these cars and we went to Bentley's stall. Sorry, a bit more than a stall. Anyway, went to Bentley's stand or whatever. And they had this Bentley there, and it was the owner of Bentley's Bentley. So they let me sit in it, and they showed me all these mod cons in this car, and I had just never seen anything like this. Like, I'd never seen a car this level. I mean, we were getting about in a red Ford Fiesta for many years, which we drove over from the UK to Spain. But yeah, like we were still winding windows down. The Gen Z are not going to know what that means, but yeah. So sitting in this car just blew my mind, and I thought, oh my God, I need this Bentley. And from that day, I have vowed I will buy myself a Bentley, and I will. It was a Bentley. Well, I want a Bentley Continental CTC. I want it in sky blue, and I want white leather interior, and I want CT one day as my reg, City till I die, because I'm blue for life, Man City fan, love it. Love football. Again, we'll touch on that at some point because big part of my life. But yeah, anyway, so I really want this Bentley. And then that, since being 14 years old, has just given me the biggest fire in my belly, which is really, really amazing. And I do value it a lot because finding something like that, like even that as a long-term goal. I mean, even if I buy it at 60, I'm going to buy it. I'm definitely going to buy it. And I will not stop till I get my Bentley. And I know as soon as I get in that Bentley, I know I'll have done everything I wanted to do. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, get back to Manchester, go to school there, and start doing okay. Started doing a little bit better. I was doing really poor in English in Nottingham, but then I got this crazy teacher in school in Manchester that was like the strictest woman on earth, and everyone was petrified of her. But oh my God, was she amazing, because I got 2 A's. So one piece of advice: don't fear your strict teachers, because they'll actually do you a solid. But yeah, that was great. Maths I was good at. Science I was shocking at, so I didn't do very well in that. Spanish got an A, but I kind of cheated. French got an A because it's basically Spanish. English both A's, maths an A, and then did I get an A in maths? I don't even know. Might be lying there. No, I think I did. And then yeah, I got like C in chemistry. Oh no, did I in chemistry? Anyway, I don't know. Look, by the by, them grades are really good, and I thought that I was super happy with them grades. But I've got some mates that are going to come in here, and you'll also see that it's not the be all and end all. But what I will say is this: if you're in a position where you can get yourselves good grades, do it, because it will just open a lot more doors, and it means that your life in future is going to be so much easier. So when you go to, like, if you go college, again, just try your best. Just try your very, very best. Because yeah, it will help a lot. Went through high school. Then I decided, right, I need to go to college. I want to get A-levels. All I know is if I follow this blueprint of getting good grades, going uni, getting a degree, start a job, buy my Bentley. That was genuinely what I thought would happen. So I took myself off to college, and one of our friends, Katrina, she knew all about where to go and studied it all. So she went, no, I'm going to this college. It's the best one in the country. I need X, Y, and Z to get in. So I said, okay, I'm going to follow you. Don't be afraid to, like, if you're around someone that's like that, let them influence you. Like, really, don't worry about copying people or following people. Like, doing that and listening to everything she told me, which is why she's coming on this podcast, changed everything for me. So I went to college. I did economics, I did Spanish, French, and history. Obviously, I did Spanish a year early, so I got an A in that. Economics, I got an A in. And actually, when I did economics, that turned out being the most amazing subject I ever did. I loved economics so much. And it was just great. It was so, so good. My teacher was out of this world. Helen Gordon, if you ever listen to this, you are a legend. And I would love to also get you on this podcast, because she used to tell us this thing all the time, which was, for 2 years of pain, 40 years of gain. And I say that to myself now in every situation. So like when I got to uni, 4 years of pain, 40 years of gain. And then later on, when I tell you about my accountancy exams, again, 4 years of horrendous pain, 40 years of gain. And it stuck with me throughout. But yeah, Helen, HG, man, if we could get you on here, that would be unreal. Might even message her, because I've got her on Facebook still. But yeah, she also changed my life. Super inspirational. Made economics, like, I don't know why I keep calling it economics. Economics. Oh, it's because I'm living in Australia. It's really ruining my accent. Yeah. Yeah, did economics, and yeah, loved that. So actually got a better grade in economics than I did in Spanish, because they kept making us do all these stupid bloody, like, analysing literature and stuff, which not for me. Fun fact is I also come from a really, like, rough speaking area in Spain, so my accent was a bit rough. And then when I got into the speaking exams, my teacher was like, you can't speak like that. And I said, well, what do you mean I can't speak like that? She was like, you can't speak like that. It's not correct, because it's like not the Queen's whatever. Anyway, still got an A. Fine. And then that was that. Then I decided I want to go uni, because I am just following the path that is going to guarantee me my Bentley. Went to uni, and I went looking around all the different ones. I knew I'd have good enough grades to go to a Russell group. And I just thought, great, amazing. I've got into the University of Leeds. So excited for. A few of my mates were going, which is even better. Another one will be coming on the pod. Our B fan, Beth, who I live with. And we'll talk about all things uni on there. It's so funny, because as soon as I arrived at uni, I have never, ever been more humbled in my life. First thing that blew my mind I put it this way, right? In school, in England and in Manchester, in Manchester, I used to get things like this said to me. You're posh, you, Katy Clay. Right. So genuinely, no word of a lie, in my little terrace rental that I lived in with my mother, just single mum, didn't have a pot to piss in. And we was just having £10 takeaways on a Wednesday after Slimming World, which were very good days of me and my mum and my little dog, Scooby, who died, baby Scoob. A Scoob. Anyway, yeah, when I got to uni, I thought I was like a posh person at school, which obviously, if you're listening to this and you're not from my area and you hear my accent now, yeah, I've been humbled many a time moving about to different places, but yeah, you realise that I'm actually not. And I got to uni. Everyone in my halls, right? I won't go through the names or anything, but I had like the two girls that were well posh and come from like, well, yeah, money. And I never forget, I got there and there was this like weird fucking contraption thing on the side in the kitchen. And I was like, bro, what's that mean? And she's like, it's for steaming my broccoli. And I thought, sorry, what? One, never heard of steamed broccoli in my life. Two, that even, what, why are you steaming broccoli for? We're at uni? Fucking weirdo. I'd never probably eaten much vegetables. I'd literally lived off like Big Mama's kebabs, which is a local delicacy from our area. And I just not even, I just had no idea that people lived like this way, which is ridiculous now. But yeah, that was like one of the biggest eye-opening things. And she had a bike that she'd like ride to class. And I used to think it was so gimpy. But now it's like, mate, she was fit as a fiddle, well healthy, looked after herself, like everything that you should be doing. But I just didn't know. Anyway, that was humbling. And then the other girl was just fine. Yeah, I mean, the accents was just an eye opener for me, like how posh people were. And in Freshers Week, I also remember overhearing some fucking posh guy going. Also, by the way, I've got a lot of posh friends, and I don't hate posh people that much. And yeah, I don't. I'm joking with myself. But yeah, I remember a guy in Freshers Week being like, do you know, I just really hate the northern accent. And I just remember me going do you know what, why the fuck are you in up north then? And being an absolute brute. And do you know what? In hindsight, there's ways which we'll talk about in other episodes of like leveraging your authenticity and where you come from. There's ways of using it to your advantage, which I have done a lot in my life because I know it adds a lot of like jest and it adds a lot of funniness to my character. But you've also got to harness it in the best way that doesn't negatively impact where you want to be. And we can cover that for sure on quite a few different episodes. But yeah, I think getting to uni was crazy. Another thing that really freaked me out about uni, and we'll talk about this with Beth, I've already planned it in for that episode, was how we actually learn and how we studied. Again, no one helped me. Nobody gives you a blueprint. Even like the lecturers and the people at university, nobody actually gives you the information that you think you need to do that. Like it's a completely different way of learning so badly in my first year. I got a third. I even got a third in my second year because I just didn't get it. I didn't get what you had to do. And I had no peers around me telling me this is what you need to do. It was just so hard. And I also then just got swept up with the whole going out thing, like, and living my best life, which to be honest, I had a great year. And I would obviously advise everyone to definitely enjoy themselves, especially in first year. But there's just no one tells you like how independent you need to be with your study. Like what the fuck was a reading list? Like I got there and someone gave me a reading list. This was another thing. I had actually never read a book in my life. I used to, again, think reading was for gimps. I'd sit there and like, I remember when I got with my boyfriend, Fred. Oh yeah, by the way, I do have a boyfriend called Fred, who is my fiance, who lives with me. He's a babe. We met in Magaluf. He's from London. He's about as cockney as I am mank. Maybe we'll get him to feature at some point. But anyway, I remember when I first got with him, we went on a holiday and he went in WH Smith's at the airport and I was like, oh, fuck you doing? He's like, I'm buying a book. book? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, why would you want to do that? And he was like, to read at the beach. And I said, well, don't be reading a book at the beach. You need to speak to me. So yeah, reading was a completely alien thing to me as well. But honestly, like, this is like things that people don't talk about. Like, people do grow up this way. People live like this, and nobody talks about it, and nobody tells you how to live. Like, I read books now. I even eat broccoli. That's a new thing, though. That took me a long time to get to eating broccoli. That was rank for a long time. But anyway, we got there. Like, and I exercise now, and I didn't do any of them things growing up because I didn't know I had to. I didn't know how much that would actually really impact everything I do in the future of my life. I guess Gen Z a bit like the younger lot now are a bit more into health and fitness. There's things online that you can see and stuff, but don't underestimate the value of it. It plays such a huge part, and it's took me this long to get to this point. Like I said in the last thing, like I started Manjaro in August. I lost a bit of weight on that, but before that, I had a coach. I lost about a stone in my half on my own. I was exercising, I was eating, while I was doing everything. Like the value it has in it is massive, especially for your own professional development as well. Anyway, totally gone off piece there again, but got to uni. Did it? My degree was economics and Spanish. Again, actually got better grades in my economics side than I did my Spanish side because I just couldn't be arsed with all the stupid things. And to be honest, I didn't take it that serious because I spoke Spanish, so just took the piss a bit, really. Don't do that. I do not recommend that you do that. Yeah, part of my degree, which was a huge part of my life, was the fact that we had to do a year abroad. Again, I'll talk about this at some point in a lot more depth. Doing a year abroad was the best thing ever. In so many ways, you learn so many things and you become independent, you meet friends, you learn how to navigate getting your own place in a foreign country, you learn how to navigate sorting bills, you learn how to navigate growing up, and it really forces you to do so. And if you do it when you're at uni, you're literally 20 years old, so unbelievable. And I was blessed enough to get a job working for the company I'm working for now, in their office in Barcelona. And I know all my mates will listen to this, and most of them will have been there at some point or other in that apartment in Barcelona, because what a time was had. And it was the best year of my life, without a doubt, hands down. The best thing I have ever done is moving to Barcelona for that year. Unbelievable. I would just recommend it to everyone. Even if you're not at uni, if you can do a year somewhere, do it. Australia's cool as well. You could do it here, but it's very far. And I just think something about Europe. Europe's just got it. And it also helps you learn another language, which is a huge benefit. So did my year abroad, finish uni. We'll do a deep dive on uni another time. And then this was the most eye-opening. This was more humbling than realising that I'm not posh and I'm rough as fuck. Well, then I got humbled again and realised I'm actually still rough, even though you've got a degree in A-levels and a year abroad and work experience behind you. You are still rough. So I left uni, and then I was trying to get a grad scheme. I think I applied to like 25 grad schemes, video interviews online, most horrendous application forms. They are hell. The hell. EY, every single bank. I actually genuinely believed, because I got a 2-1 in economics and Spanish. I spoke another language. I've got amazing work experience. I've had a job since I was 12 years old. I used to work no matter what. My life story is great for work ethic. And I thought I was going to walk out and become an investment banker and have a Bentley in 2 years. Genuinely. And then nothing pissed me off more than to leave uni, spend 2 years applying for grad schemes in London, and open my mouth in every interview. And that's got to be the reason why. Because everything else I have on paper, I've got it. And I got far enough to get interviews. So obviously on paper, I've got it. But they just listened to me. And nothing pissed me off more, to be honest. So I applied for banks, insurance, everything in the financial services industry, because I thought that was what would make me the most money, which it does, don't get me wrong. And if you can get on that, great. But if you sound like me, like you're a girl from Salford, don't expect much. I would say apply in Manchester. Don't try and go to London. Yeah, it's just not the most welcoming. when you've got an accent like mine. Except, again, in a women's football space, which, by the way, they got loves life. So yeah, we can again we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, that was a real struggle, and applying for those kind of grad schemes was really, really difficult because it was just soul destroying. Going for interview after interview after interview. I do know a bit now where I've gone wrong, and I know I probably wasn't ready in a sense that I didn't know enough about what was going on in the world. I didn't know enough about the news. I didn't know enough about like just anything that was which you would just soak up. If you was like, say like, if you grew up and your dad was an investment banker, you would just know certain facts and you'd know certain ways of conversing and ways to speak to people. So again, if that's something you guys are interested in, we can look at doing that as an episode on the podcast as well, because that was a real struggle for me and that was a nightmare. What happened after that? Yeah, then I got a job in recruitment, which fuck me, what an awful industry that is. But at the same time, look, no offense to anyone working in recruitment, but that is hard. That is an hard job. The reason I got drawn to it was the money. So they were literally was like, right, you can make X, Y, and Z. You can make this much in your first year, blah, 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 blah. And I saw people that started at the same time as me that did that. I was 23 when I got that job, and that was in London, and it was for a recruitment company in London. And wow, they weren't amazing, and they were just learning, I think, as well, because I think since I've been following them and they're doing really well and stuff like that. And I think the whole team was new. They took on like 8 grads at once. It was just all a bit chaotic, and the learning wasn't. The learning at the start was amazing. We got some really good training, and I got some phenomenal sales training through that, which still sticks with me now and has served me really, really well in a lot of jobs that I'm doing. Like, sales training is great, by the way. If you can do any form of sales experience, it'll put you in any good stead for a lot of roles, no matter what, because sales is a very, very hard job. And if you can do well at it, you can earn a lot of money, but also you learn a lot of skills from it that you can carry throughout different jobs. And recruitment is like a really hard sell because you're selling your services, and you've got no substantial product to a company, and then you also got to sell the job to the candidate. So it's really, really hard. Hours are also horrific. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to work long hours, and I'm talking 12, 13, 14-hour days. And to be frank, at 23, when I just moved to London, I didn't want to do that. And there's no embarrassment in saying that you don't want to do that. Like, this is exactly what this podcast is for. Like, if you don't want to sit and graft at 21 and throw away your youth till, work till whatever time, that's okay. That's allowed. There's people I've seen who I started that job with who are millionaires now. Would I love to be a millionaire now? Yeah, I would. But did I have it in me at 23 to just work constantly whilst trying to make friends and navigate being a young adult? No. Am I ready to do that now? Yeah. So don't worry if that's not what you want to do at that time. That's also allowed, and that's completely fine. So that was a big lesson that I thought I was that motivated. I thought I was that driven, which I am, and I've got it in me now. But I genuinely thought that I was upset with myself. I was disappointed in myself that I didn't put them hours in. But you don't need to be. Your timeline is what's right for you. And at the time, I didn't want to do that. I didn't like working there. I didn't want to do that. I stayed in that job for three months. I hated every second. I used to cry on a Sunday going to work. I used to dread it. I used to think, oh, I couldn't think of anything worse than going in there. And let me tell you now, don't ever do that. If you feel like that, leave immediately. No job is worth you feeling that way. You get another job, even if you have to work in Mackey's for a bit. Get a Big Mac, sell some nugs, sell some little strawberry milks, you know what I mean? Not the end of the world. But don't be upset going to work, because I've been there and it's horrific. So yeah, did that, did recruitment. Then I actually finally got a job that I really, really loved. And it's for a startup called Flashpack that are doing really well now. But at the time, I was working for him for about a year and a bit. And I started working for him as a finance assistant. And I had an amazing boss who, it was great because when I started there, I still had that same attitude that I had at the recruitment company, where turn up, do my job. I didn't actually put my heart and soul into it. And he put me in check so nicely one time, and I'll never forget the meeting. And he just proper put me in check. And from that day, I really started to do really well, and I got it, and I got this work thing, and I got this business thing, and I started to understand it. And they were going to put me through my exams to become a chartered accountant, and started to really like it. The company was amazing. Everything they stood for was fantastic. And I actually was finally enjoying London, because I didn't really like London for a long time. That's when I started playing football as well. And then COVID hit. So this amazing travel startup that had all this promise just collapsed, and people lost their jobs, and they did restart, and they're doing amazing now, which is great. I'm so glad, because the idea is fantastic. But anyway, by the by, yeah, we eventually got to. I rang up the company I work for now. It's the same company I work for in Barcelona, and I did do a little year working from straight out of uni as well when I couldn't find a job. I rang them back up in the Manchester office and said, "Can I please come and work back in Manchester?" And they said, "Yes, this is the company I work for now." And I've never looked back. And I grew from finance assistant. I became finance senior there. And, oh, no, I didn't. Oh, missed a step. I went in 4 years there. I went from finance assistant, finance officer to finance senior. They put me through all my ACCAs. I graduated as a chartered accountant, and now I've got the job as finance manager here. So I've just completely grew my way in 5 years. And again, I will be giving a lot of tips and tricks on how I've done that. But yeah, before we do that into the podcast, and before I wrap up this one, the last bit of my journey was doing my chartership, which is hell. Honestly, it's awful. Becoming a chartered accountant is awful, because you work in a full-time job. You work in a full-time job, and then you need to study at night. It's grim. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's grim. But again, opens loads of doors. And this is what I was saying at the start. Like, I've just gone a fully conventional way to try and climb my way up the ladder. And what I had to learn along the way a lot was, do you know what? You're never just going to get where you want to go immediately like that. It's not going to happen. Like I said, I was going to leave uni, get a job, become a millionaire. I thought I would 100% be a millionaire by now, and I'd be swanning around in some sort of yacht in the Med. That's no way near the case. No way near. But, so that's life. And you just need you can keep those big, big dreams, keep them in the back of your mind, but don't be disheartened if you don't get to there. There's lots of different ways. And there's also a lot to be said for just being comfortable, nice holidays, having nice things. That is enough. It is enough. And it's took me a lot to get to that point. But I'm still getting the Bentley. Don't you worry about that. So yeah, that is me in a little nutshell. Again, please give me some feedback. Is this a load of shit? Am I boring? Do you want to listen to it? Is it helpful? There'll be other people on this as well, not just me. Always, I'll do some solo, we'll do some mixed. I'm going to try and keep them short, and I'll try and keep them on theme and on different topics. But yeah, please write in. Hello. This is making me laugh, dude. Hello at the Girlboss Bible. I'm sorry. Hello at girlbossbible.com. Email in or DM us on Instagram or TikTok. Stop doing gum fingers, you weirdo. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.